Hello there, Ollie and I are back for another chat at length. I really enjoyed our last natter, which was our 10th. There's not a lot that rhymes with today's podcast number, similar to episode 7. So let's not get too hung up about it and crack on with podcast number 11. Ollie, how are we doing, mate?
That
Bottled it,
is
didn't I?
such,
Absolutely
such
bottled
a
it.
cop out. Such a cop out. However, I am good. Thank you very much. I am all Christmased up, as you can tell. I was Christmased up for our predictions video. I'm Christmased up again for the podcast because it's just feeling festive, Nick. I'm feeling festive. How are you doing?
I'm the same, to be honest. I don't look like it because I've got a Sheffield United shirt on. However, I have a cup of mulled wine here, believe it or not, which I've been
Nice.
drinking ever since I've come back from a Christmas market this afternoon. And I've got an iced mince pie, which are my favourite, I've got to admit.
Ooh, yeah, that does sound good. To be fair, oh yeah, and also, my favourite part of that was the not because you described it as a cup of mulled wine there, but I think for anybody who's not watching this visually, they need to know that this is very much a mug. It's a mug of mulled wine. It's an I
It is.
love tea mug of mulled
I
wine.
didn't show the front of it because it's literally, I don't think you can see it on camera here, but it's literally just got mulled wine just all the way down.
Nice.
Yeah, I've kind of ruined my I love tea mug. It needs to be I love mulled wine. And do you know what, mate? I am going to get more and more drunk in this podcast. I am positive because I'll tell you the story. So I love mulled wine, loved it for a very, very long time, ever since I kind of got into wine itself. And we went to, things are dropping everywhere. I don't know what's happened there. So we went to a Christmas market. It was the Sheffield one, so you can't really call it much of a Christmas market. But we went nonetheless. It was a lot easier to get there than obviously other places, Nottingham and other places that are really, really good. Lincoln's a good one as well if anyone wants to
Yeah.
go. Yeah, we just went there. I paid £5 for the tiniest little shot. Let's call it a shot of mulled
Of mulled
wine.
wine.
I was really, really annoyed. As we went past Sainsbury's, I got 2 big bottles of mulled wine for £6 each. So that's why I'm carrying on the mulled wine. I'm one of these people that, like, when I go out, if I'm drinking a certain drink and I'm really into it, I'll come
Yeah.
home. I'll be like, I can't wait to get home and have a drink. I'll have one drink and I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
I've had enough of that. That's that. I tell you what, though. First of all, that is an absolute scandal. But you do often get mugged off, particularly at Christmas markets, for mulled wine and mulled cider. Sometimes you get like a shot of mulled cider for less than you would normally get a pint of cider for, which is always offensive. But Sheffield Christmas markets, there is a churros stand. And this churros stand is incredible. It is so good. I got churros from it. What day was I in the office? It must have been Thursday. And genuinely, it was all I could talk about for the entire afternoon. Everybody was like, oh, do you want to do some work? I was like, no, because I think we need to talk about my churros. Just one more time because they were so good. So if anybody's going into Sheffield Town, go to the churros place because it's very good.
Just before we came on, we were talking about my glasses steaming up and how long it would take from
Uh,
steamed up already. If you can
yeah, it
see
was, to be
right
honest, it
here,
was probably 2 minutes, I reckon. I think they've been steamed up for about 2 minutes. And
I
I was going to mention it, but you were mid-flow.
I was mid full. I was busy rhyming 11 with 7, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were too busy disappointing us all with your rhymes this week. I expect it to be so much better for 12 because I've got genuinely no idea where you're going to go with that. Yeah, you've basically set
Might have
yourself
to
up a
be a
noose,
different
haven't you?
language.
Go for oh, sorry. Re-record. Go back to the start, and we need to re-record this as podcast number Elf. Do it in German, and we'll make it Christmas themed.
I'm not doing that. I am not doing that. Let's talk
That
about
was the chance.
yeah, I'm sorry, mate. You've just thrown your arms up and you've just reminded me of your Christmas jumper because I thought when I very first saw it, it looked like you were a superbike champion or something like that for some reason.
Yeah, I can see that. It is a Warhammer Christmas jumper, just to reaffirm that I'm a huge nerd. Um, and yeah,
What
I
is
got it
Warhammer
special
again?
because Warhammer is the downstairs is little figures that you buy and build, and then you play a tabletop game with involving rolling dice to see whether you hit and your damage. And it's very, very good. And I bought this Christmas jumper special for our Warhammer Christmas event last Sunday. And so now I'm just getting as much use out of it as I can because, the Christmas event has passed.
What is this Warhammer Christmas event that you talk about?
We all got together and played Warhammer. Like
Who's we?
it's not it's exactly what it sounds like. Where me and a group of friends got together and we played Warhammer, and I got absolutely annihilated by some dwarves, and then I absolutely destroyed some Sisters of Battle, and my undead Necron army continues to parade across the galaxy, trying to avoid dwarves at all costs because they're insane.
There you go.
What a world!
Fair enough. I am going to stop trying to take the mick out of you when you talk about geeky things because I've got a feeling that there's a lot of geeky people out there that
Yeah.
will just not enjoy me doing that. So let's move on. And well,
And
actually,
I suppose I just take no offense because I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to own it. I'm used to it now.
you've got to,
I've
mate.
lived that life, Nick. And you know what's fun is when you absolutely own it. I've got a guy at work, right? And he was in like a Take That tribute band, and he was in like a One Direction tribute band, and everybody would always try and take the mick a little bit. Like you'd hear people make comments, and he would just own it. He would just be like, yeah, so what? I'm good. And everyone would be like, oh, well, to be fair, yeah, he is really good, and I get it. And I think that's exactly the kind of attitude that I've learned from. Is just I'm just going to own it, and that's fine. And I'm
Best
going to wear a
way.
big Warhammer Christmas jumper.
Fair enough, mate. Best way, best way. I want to say before I move on, SUFC Moments guy that does some fantastic work with the Blades beer mats and stuff like that. He's very, very happy that Chris Wilder's come back to the Blades because I've actually bumped into him 2 days in a row. I don't know exactly where
Look
he
at you.
lives, but he must live near me because I saw him at Crystal Peak Shopping Centre. And then today I saw him at the Christmas market. So that was cool.
Nice.
But we're having a long, nice little chat, and he said he sold loads and loads of Chris Wilder stuff, which is quite nice because he did say he never throws any of his beer mats away. So if Slavisa Jukanovic comes back, he's ready.
He's the man. He's the man who's just sat there waiting for Slav. He's sat there with 5,000 beer mats thinking, oh, come on, Slav. It's got to be about time.
I don't even know what is Slav doing. Where is he? Is he like in Russia or somewhere
It's
Eastern
rumoured to be going to
European?
Stoke, isn't he?
Well, there's somebody else that's been rumoured to go to Stoke as well, isn't they, Ollie?
I think there's lots of people that's rumoured to be going to
Mis-
Stoke, but I
Mr.
don't know who you're referring to. Oh,
Mr. Paul
Heckingbottom.
Heckingbottom. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, there is
We'll
somebody else
probably
who's been rumoured to go to Stoke.
Do you know what? I was going to Google where is Slav. I don't actually care. So I think we should
Yeah,
let's just move on. Let's move on.
just move
One
on.
more thing before we get into kind of like talking about the blade stuff. What I want us to do, right? Safe space. I've not spoken to you about this because I wanted to bring it up on here and see what people think in the comments. So we've chatted about this quite a while, for quite a while, should I say, about doing kind of in real life football challenges and things. And um, we've had dates in the diary that we haven't fulfilled, let's say. And I really, 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 really want to do something. And I think it'd be so fun to do. Get all the Blades kind of social media team together. That's when I say kind of like fan podcasts, fan YouTube channels, and just have a big old laugh and kick a few footballs and maybe things like penalty shootouts, maybe things like recreating old Blades goals, recreating penalties, things like that. Just a bit of fun. So let us know what you think in the comments. I know Ollie's already up for it because we've
Oh,
already had
well
these
in.
discussions.
Yeah.
And
I
Ollie's
want
a
I want to
very, very
score I want to score Jagielka against Leeds. That's the one. That's the one goal. If I can ever recreate anything, I want that one.
well. You've got a slight problem there because you can't do an absolute recreation, can you, Ollie?
No.
Do you know why?
Because I'm rubbish. I can't kick ball that far.
Because you are left-footed.
And I am yeah, but I would do it right-footed. I would take that on.
Oh,
I would
I would
back
love to
myself
see that.
enough that I will take that on right-footed and do my best.
I love that. I love that. Let's do it. I'm saying that we want people's feedback. I still really want to do it. If people said this is the worst idea you've ever had, Nick, I still want to do it. But I just want
Literally,
people to.
let's have everybody say no, don't do it. We're not interested at all. Sounds awful. We'll just do it for a laugh. Like we'll not even film it. We'll just go out and have a laugh.
I think the idea for me is try and make it good. Like try and
That'd be a good idea. Yeah, let's try and make it good because these ones we just sack them off.
well,
Yeah,
what
it
I
don't
want to
matter how
do.
bad this is. Don't worry about it, guys.
Oh mate, my ears are absolutely red. I'm so hot. I think it's this. I honestly think
But
it's
it
this,
is.
and
It's
the fact that it's
100% the mulled
100
wine is getting to you already.
and it's 100 degrees in this room. No, what I want to do is I want to make a really, really, really good video. So I think if we do a couple of kind of testers first and put them on this channel,
Yeah.
on the extra channel, and hopefully people will enjoy them anyway. But to put them on the main channel, I'd want to make a few decent videos before I let it loose on the main channel. But I think it'd just be a really, really fun thing to do. Maybe at the end of the season, and we do something kind of pre-season, the lead up to the
Need the
new
weather,
season
don't
in
we?
the Premier League again. But
Yeah,
yeah, anyway, I think that brings us perfectly on to talking about the Blades now, doesn't it? Really.
it does.
And actually, Ollie, I think the last time we sat down to have a little chat, I think Paul Heckingbottom was still the manager. So I can't talk. My words are not coming out. I think I'm a little bit drunk. So
He
let me
can't
start that again.
speak. He can't
I can't
speak.
speak. Right, okay, so let me start that again. Since we last spoke on a podcast, I think that Hecky was still the manager, and I think Chris Wilder was still feet up watching Deal or No Deal. So, first and foremost, Hecky's left, the Wilder effect. How have you seen it go already? What are the differences between Hecky's style and Wilder's style?
Yeah, it's interesting to be honest, because obviously it's very early for Wilder having come in, but I think you've seen immediately that they just seem to be a bit more front foot. I think taking Chelsea out, because that's Chelsea away is always going to be the way it's going to be. You have to sit back a little bit. You're going to have to absorb. But I think particularly that first game, Liverpool at home, what really stood out for me is that we were willing to step onto them a little bit. We weren't just willing to sit in, let them come at us and wait to get beat. We actually carried a threat of our own. You know, we've had a change of system. We've got four at the back, which I think has really suited some of our defenders. I think we need to talk a little bit about the form of Anel Ahmedodzic, because I do think there's quite a couple of concerning moments happening from him personally. But I think the back four gives us so much more structure. I think it's given us a more organised approach, like what we saw defensively from Wilder last time. We are forcing teams to go wide and go around us. We've got a really packed centre, particularly with Vinny Souza coming deep. So it does make a big difference. And it means that actually teams trying to come onto us, it's so much harder to break it down. They're not making the same clear-cut chances that teams were just doing at ease under Heckingbottom. So I think defensively, we've seen so much more organisation and structure. Going forwards, it's been interestingly different, shall I say. I think we have engaged higher. We've tried to win the ball early. I think we saw it particularly against Brentford, how many times we were trying to win the ball. We also did it against Liverpool, which you don't expect, but we were catching Gomez, we were catching Canate, we were catching them as they were coming forward. A bad touch, Cameron Archer was on them, which has allowed him to create space. We've seen more from him on the ball, dribbling forwards, trying to create chances than we'd seen all season up to that point. So we're definitely engaging higher, trying to force those mistakes. I think with the ball, we've still been a little bit sloppy. I don't think we've quite had the level of control that maybe Wilder would want with our midfield. But I think the addition of Andre Brooks coming in there has given us a little bit more technical skill, shall I say. I think we've got somebody who can beat a player and hold on to the ball for a little bit longer. I think we've seen United actually be able to take the ball in midfield and drive forwards more than we've been doing at all this season. So certainly it's early days, certainly it's small tweaks, but I think it's defensive organisation and higher levels of engagement when we're trying to win the ball back that do make a difference and have made us look so much better. But the main thing, forget tactics, forget all that, they're actually running about. Like, how nice is it to see a team that you're sat there watching thinking, Jesus, he looks knackered. And he looks knackered because he's given everything. Not just he looks knackered and he's looked knackered from the minute we started. It's so good to see them actually looking like they're putting everything in to win points at the minute. And that, however long it lasts, just feels so much better to watch as a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think McAtee threw a little bit of shade Hecky's way earlier on in the week as well, um, saying that he's obviously he's getting the ball more, he's playing
Yeah.
more, which is obviously the first thing that you need to do as an attacking player because you need to get into
Yeah.
your flow, and it seems like he's getting into his flow a little bit more. Um, he seems fitter, he says, and I think that all kind of was not necessarily aimed at Hecky, but aimed at both of them. it's
Yeah.
aimed at Hecky, but it's also aimed at
It's a
Wilder in a
message to
positive way.
Wilder, isn't it? Yeah, and it's I think as well though, like the one who's really stood out for me since Wilder's come in is Vinny Souza because I'll be honest, I'd completely written him off. I was done with Vinny Souza at one point. I think it was which game was it? Well, Brighton away, I was pretty done with him because until he went off, we just offered nothing. We were useless and we were just unable to get on the ball. But he seems to have really turned it around and he's actually showing what we expected from him at the start of the season. And so he's the one for me that most exemplifies the change that we've seen in this team. But Maka, when he's on it, isn't he? That goal against Brentford, we've not done a podcast
Oh,
since that goal. And my God, oh, when last time
that's
United scored a? Have we? When did we score a goal better than that?
good
Like
to tell you.
what a goal that were.
Good to tell you.
Go on, tell me.
On par, Gus Harmer,
No, which one?
Forest.
Forest. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
I'm
That
not
we're
saying it's
feeding on.
better. I think McAtee's was better, but
Yeah,
it's similar,
but
isn't it?
it's
Because I was
similar.
I
Yeah,
was
it's similar goal.
I was
Drifted
exactly
over
the
the far
same.
stick.
Yeah, the thing is with McAtee's goal, we'll probably come on to this in a minute, but the thing is with McAtee's goal, I thought it was deflection because it seemed like it went so high and then dipped.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's going over, that's going over. That's got a chance. That's got a chance. And then just nestle. But it doesn't even nestle right in the top corner. It like almost goes really high and then comes right down. And it's like, that is a fantastic finish. And
Just
when I
knew it.
realized that it wasn't a deflection, I'm thinking that is just sublime. And do you know what? McAtee, I don't think I've ever seen him take a shot from distance and come close to scoring a
No.
goal. So it was nice to see that because most of his goals last season came from either kind of one-on-ones or nicking in
Mm.
there and kind of and just getting a touch past
Yeah.
the goalkeeper. I did not think that he even had that in his locker.
No, not a goal like that. Obviously, we saw a couple where he'd had long dribbles as well, obviously using his sort of skill to
Yeah.
get through. But a finish like that, I just did not see it coming from him at all. I think I saw, was it Match of the Day? Might have been Totally Football Pod, but it might have been Match of the Day. Somebody suggested that it might have been a cross. And I've never heard of anything that was more in bad faith. I was like, no, 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 we're not having this. If anybody,
I,
no. Just because he plays
I
for
will say
United
one
doesn't mean it was a
thing.
cross.
I will say one thing. I went down to have a few beers. Well, I say a few beers, one beer because you can't get any more than that at half time. Struggled to even have that at half time. But my mate went down to get the beers and he missed it. And a couple of lads I was talking to, two of them said that they thought it was a cross, and that's from Blades fans. And I couldn't see where another player would be to receive that cross.
Just a really, really bad cross.
It's funny that how defeatist we are. That we've got this incredible young talent. Yes, he's not ours, but I'm saying that
Everybody,
it's a good deflection.
that's what I was just
Everyone
going to
else is saying
say.
it's a cross. No one's saying that. That's just a fantastic effort.
Yeah, and I need to correct myself because I went on about how good it was. Miss kick. He's fluked it and I kicked it off one leg into other and it's bobbled over keeper. He had never meant that. No chance.
Oh god, no! It was really really good, and it deserved to win that game. But
It
we
did.
probably should have won that game by more goals. Well, let's talk about it now. We'll just write off the Liverpool game because we played really, really well in that
Yeah.
game. It was the Wilder effect because it was a completely different showing from the
Yeah.
lads, and I think it was
Just so
the
different.
things to come, like seeing them, chasing them down, getting stuck in, and just limit them to. Yeah, they had a few good chances. Salah had a really, really good one that Wes tipped
Yeah, he
over.
did.
They got behind us once or twice, but we didn't concede 5, 6, 7 goals, which we
No.
probably would have done under Hecky. So that was nice. And then obviously we roll on into the Brentford game full of beans, full of confidence, and I think we were quite a dangerous team going into that game, like a wounded animal that had kind of been a bit rejuvenated, if you like. And
Yeah.
the crowd was up for it. The players were certainly up for it. Wilder was up for it. I saw his. It looked like his jacket had a button had snapped off it when he was celebrating. I was like,
Yeah.
but yeah, he certainly put on a pound or two. But I'm not one to have a go at those that have put on a pound or two because I've put on a pound or 12
Why do you think I've got such a
recently.
big jumper on? Oh yeah, I'm just wearing a nice baggy Christmas jumper. Don't worry about it, guys. It's nothing else.
But no, we were great in that game. We could have scored more goals, as we've
We
just
could.
said.
Talk to me.
Slimane, we'll come on
Talk
to
to me, Nick.
Slimane in a
Oh, just
second.
Slimane. Slimane's the man from that Brentford game to talk about, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. Saying that, he only came on for like 10, 15 minutes or
I
something like
know,
that,
but
but we definitely need to talk
why?
about him.
Why? Why have we not seen anything of Anis Slimane? I watched that game. You saw him come on. His first touch, he probably should have scored rather than could have scored, but he's
Yeah.
got straight in there. He's shown intent. He's beaten his man to get that contact. Archer's done brilliantly down the wing. He's then involved. He's having shots from distance. He's charging around to win tackles. He's about a foot taller than I thought he was, which can show what an impact he can have just
Mm.
physically. I just watching that could not understand why he's not been involved before now. Like, why have we waited to get him on the pitch? How was he behind John Fleck in the pecking order? Like, I can't get my head around some of the decision making that has meant that we've not seen anything of Slimani when he can come on and impact a game like he did against Brentford.
I want to throw something out there. This might not be true. I'm not saying that this is gospel. This is just me thinking out loud. So, there's been times in the past where managers have had players bought for them when they weren't their player. And I
Pick.
think it was obvious that Prince Abdullah wanted to
Mhm.
bring in kind of low value players that had a high ceiling. And he
Yeah,
was one of those. Benny Traore was another one of those. So I wonder whether Slimani was ever Hecky's choice. Maybe Hecky never wanted him. Maybe Hecky he never saw him fit into his side, but the recruitment team thought, do you know what? Here's a player that we could get playing well and make
yeah.
a quick buck on. And that could be the case. I'm not saying that
Good.
is the case. I've not heard any of that out of the club or anyone. It just could be something because there's nothing else that I can think of that would stop him getting some game time, whether that's 5 minutes at the end of the game, whether that's starting from
Yeah.
minute one,
He
because he
weren't even
looks
coming off bench.
no,
That's,
that's what I'm saying. It was
yeah,
which game was it now? I think it was the cup game that you went to. When Hecky said Hecky didn't bring him on, but he brought a load of youngsters on, and he said, "Oh, we tried to give Slimani some game time, but it just didn't happen." It's like what, what
yeah,
that for me really wound me up, and that kind of put me on a negative slant thinking about Hecky because you don't do that. You don't come out and say that even to the radio or to reporters. You don't come out and say we tried to give him minutes, but we couldn't. Because that to me sounds like he's not good enough to even get on the pitch.
yeah.
Because we were drawing 0-0 all game. You needed a bit of a spark, and he'd have supplied that spark.
Yeah, definitely. The version of him that we've seen these last few games would have been chalk and cheese to what we actually got in that cup game because it was awful. And I done everything I could to block it out of my memory until you brought it up again, Nick. So thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Right,
Makes me feel great. But no, it's
very much.
exactly. And things like that aren't going to help him. I think it does point to the idea that he wasn't Heckingbottom's man. He wasn't somebody that Heckingbottom wanted. And maybe that's why we weren't seeing anything of him. But yeah, he's excited me. I really enjoyed watching him against Brentford after he'd come on. And I do think that it's not often that we have players at the minute that we don't already know. Every player we've got is pretty much a known quantity. We know what they're going to offer. So seeing somebody who can come in, have an impact, do that, and just get you a little bit excited from 20 minutes. He might still be rubbish, but a good 20 minutes gets you excited. It's just great to see. And I think it just embodies that sort of positivity that has changed since Wilder came in.
Yeah, completely agree, mate. Also, we played Chelsea after Brentford as well. So that was yesterday. We are recording this on Sunday, and yeah, there's less of a spring in my step because I know that I've got work in the morning. I've got to drive to Wakefield tomorrow, so yeah,
I've got to go to
little bit
Oldham.
upset. Hmm?
Oldham.
Oldham.
I've got to go. Oldham.
Yeah, but you work from home all the time. Don't give me none of that. I have to go 5 days a week to
Oh,
Wakefield.
don't do that. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, come on. 2023, mate. I'm not having any of that.
So Chelsea, how did you see that go? And I'll just before you go, I'm gonna say I thought deep down in some part of my heart and brain even that we possibly could have got something from this game. And I never said it out loud or on Twitter or on YouTube or wherever, but I had a little tiny feeling after that Brentford win that we could get something out of this game. And I don't think it's just because we were good in the Brentford game and we were pretty good against Liverpool as well. I think it was also because Chelsea have been rubbish as of late.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. Yeah, going into the game, it feels stupid to say it's Chelsea away, but I really thought we would get something from that game. And at half time at 0-0, I really thought we would get something from that game. I thought there was a chance we'd win it. Going in, I thought we might get a point. But at half time at 0-0, I thought we could win it because I thought they're going to be getting frustrated. They're a team that struggled to score goals. They're a team that's really struggled at home to get wins. So I did think we might kick on and win, or at least get a point out of that game. So yeah, coming off it feels silly, but a little bit disappointed that we did concede the way that we did, because I think particularly that second goal is so avoidable and it's so bad that it does make you feel a little bit like, oh, what could have been.
And that
But
ends
it's
the
another one
game,
of them
doesn't
where,
it?
yeah,
That ends the game, that second goal. Like, yeah, the first goal is very, very important. But for
but
me, the second
second
goal just
kills it.
kills us off.
Yeah, where we're not going to score 2 goals, are we? They're not in a, I don't mean that in a rude way, but this version of Sheffield United right now ain't capable of scoring 2 goals away from home at Chelsea. Like, unless there's some kind of like bizarre happenings where they get an own goal, a man sent off, and we have a penalty. Like, it's unlikely we'll score 2 goals in an away game till about 2025. So, I'm not going to hold out hope that we'd come back into the game from that point. And that's why the second goal is so frustrating. Because even at 1-0, you think you can nick something here. You've just got to get one in, really get them frustrated. If we score, they'll then panic again. And so I did think they were there. But I suppose, one of the big things is that really summarizes the difference. Like, can you imagine going into that game on Heckingbottom and thinking that we'd get a point? I imagine I'd be sat there thinking that, we'll be lucky not to concede 6.
You're not wrong, mate. You're absolutely not wrong. Because, yeah. But, like you said, the Chris Wilder effect is real. And I've also seen. I'm doing it again.
That's so simple.
Cheers. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Down it, down it, down it, down it.
I've only got a little bit to go, but it's
Get
now.
down.
Is mulled wine? Does mulled wine have to be hot?
Yeah,
Because it's now cold wine. No,
there's normal wine.
cold wine. I don't know. I tried
Cold. Is
something.
that what you...
Did not
Oh,
work.
Jesus, Nick.
What
Put
I've
the
seen
alcohol
on
down, Nick. Step away. Know when you've had enough.
what I have seen on Twitter is some people saying, "Oh, no, it weren't on Twitter. It were in the comments of Hal's match reaction." And people say, "Oh, the Chris Wilder effect's over already," and it's like, were we expecting to beat Chelsea? We're expecting to get anything against a
Well,
team
apparently,
that have
apparently,
spent
yes, we
over
were.
£1 billion.
We both just said we were.
We
We
weren't
both just gone.
expecting
We
it.
were expecting it.
We weren't expecting it. We were hopeful, very, very slightly hopeful. And on another day, if Cameron Archer's absolute screamer flies into that top corner, it
Then
could
it's
be a
on.
different story. There was also Bogle went down that right hand side, fizzed that
Mhm.
great cross across the box
That
where
fizz.
we've got two
That's where I thought the
strikers.
goal would come. That's where I thought the goal would come. That it just felt like a goal. Like, do you know when you see something in a game of football and you think that's just a goal? Like, whenever anybody does this, it's a goal. That was the moment that you thought, this is a... Oh, it's not.
When you've got two strikers on the pitch, why are they not in the 6-yard box waiting for that?
To knock
Like, they were
that. I
both
know.
ready for the pullback, and they were both like this. And it's like, no,
One of you commit.
that's not
One of you
Bogle's
commit.
fault.
Yeah, one of
Bogle's
you
put
has
that
got to go.
fantastic ball in.
One pulls back, gets weight, one pushes forward, drags a defender. You've got to organise yourself so that you're making the most problems for them. If you both do the same thing, you make it easy to defend and you make it difficult actually for Bogle to actually pick one of you out. I thought Bogle had done the right thing and one of them's got to commit. And, if we
That's
think the Chris
tapping.
Wilder affects, it's easy. It's just an easy goal. But if we
And
think
that's
it's over now, like Friday, I have made the stupid decision of buying tickets for Aston Villa away on the Friday before Christmas, where there's no trains home, and yeah, that one might be that. I've not got any hope for that.
I've got less hope.
Yeah,
A lot
well,
less hope.
stick Pep Guardiola in charge if you want. I've got no hope for us beating Aston Villa away because I mean, if they won it on spin 16,
Yeah, something like that. Unai Emery, what an absolute god.
yeah, and I'd take I'd take him. I suppose he could do a job here.
Nah, rubbish at
Doesn't sound as
Arsenal.
good though, does it? Oh, the Emery effect. Shut up, guys. Sounds like an
Grow up.
illness.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go on to talking about some players and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But we'll go on to Bogle. We've talked about Slimane. We've just been talking about Bogle there. Bogle is a different player under Chris Wilder this
He is
time
a
around,
different
isn't
man.
he?
Yeah, I don't know what's changed him because forever since he joined the club, the first time I saw him play and everything I've seen from him since, I thought, I tell you what, he's got to be a right wing back, can't defend. So you've got to have three behind him. You've got to make sure you've got that structure so that he can push forward as someone covers. But then we put him at right back, and he is a man transformed. I think it was against Liverpool that he had some of the best defensive stats of anybody for 90 minutes in the league this season. He had a really, really good game, and he's just carried that forwards. And I do think that somehow, and I don't know how, he's managed to cement himself as a right back in a back four, which I just never thought I'd see from him. I think he's been really impressive.
Yeah,
I
me
like
too.
him.
Me,
I actually
yeah.
like this version of Jaden Bogle. I was starting to really dislike the guy, and all of a sudden I'm like, I love Jay Bogues. What a man.
Well, this is it. Like you said, like Jaden Bogle is always flattered to deceive for me. It plays well in a 4 or 5 game stint where he looks like he's Ronaldinho. Like he's got all the tricks, all the tricks. He's almost on par with that player that we sold to Marseille, which we might get
Mm,
onto in a bit.
mm,
But yeah, he's such a skillful player. We've not seen too much of that in the last sort of year and a half. I think what sticks in my mind is Birmingham away, where we played that fantastic football. We came
yeah,
back from 1-0 to win 2-1. And that little flick that he did to bring it into his path to toe poke it past the goalkeeper. I feel like that's the last time I've seen Jaden Bogle absolutely flying. I think he got injured right after that, or maybe a couple of games after that. We've only seen him a couple of games, maybe last season, where he looked really, really good going forward. But he looks really good going forward and really good defensively now. Like, I don't know where this defensive Jaden Bogle's come from, but I feel like it's Wilder saying, look,
yeah,
lad, this is your last chance because you've been given so many chances. Yes, you've picked up injuries, but George Baldock is the number one right back / right wing back. If
yeah.
you don't play now before George comes back, you're not going to get another go. I think he said something like that to him, and it's finally woken him up.
Yeah, it's certainly had a big impact, whatever he said to him, because, like I say, he's a man transformed. And I actually think, for the first time, I properly think that there is a big debate about who would play
Mm.
right back. I think when George Baldock's fit, there will actually be a question of, well, is it Bogle's shirt now? He's had 3 good games. Do we really want to change that? I mean, I think most of us agree that Baldock is one of our most important players, but it's hard to drop somebody who's in really good form. And I think Bogle's been playing well enough that you could say, for now, the shirt's his until something else happens.
Yeah, and I feel like George Baldock is professional enough and grown up enough to be like, do you know what? He deserves
Yeah,
that shirt. He's been really good in the last 3 games. I shouldn't walk straight back into this team unless I'm head and shoulders above him in
yeah,
training. I shouldn't get anywhere near that shirt right now. And fair play to him because George
yeah,
has had
I
that
do as
shirt
well.
a long time. Yeah, he's had
Yeah, I
that shirt
think
a
George
long
will be
time.
exactly like that.
Yeah, he's got to be. And I think he'll still be the same man in the dressing room, even when he's not playing.
Yeah, I do as well. And I actually think this could drive on to see even better performances from maybe Baldock when he does get his chance, when the opportunity comes, when Baldock's got to play. Maybe we'll see more from him. It's cliched, but we're playing what, Friday, Tuesday, and then we're playing again Saturday. And there's a lot of games coming in these next few weeks that maybe we will want to change it around. Maybe Baldock will need to come in, and maybe we'll see the best out of him because Bogle's driving him on to say, you've got to earn the shirt back, mate.
Too right. Too right. The last player that I want to talk about before we move on to the quiz is the Wes slander as of right now. Now, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Wes fan, but I'm certainly not his worst critic. I think Wes is a strong, stable goalkeeper. I don't know if he is Premier League quality. He's probably top end Championship quality for me, and maybe we should have brought another goalkeeper in. But by no means do I think that the goalkeeper is the biggest problem right now. Loads and loads of people saying
No.
we need to bring a new goalkeeper in January. It's like if we can, yes, but I'd rather us bring in other positions. But as of right now, Wes is getting a lot of heat, and I think this is just football, fickle football fans. It was a terrible mistake against Chelsea. Don't get me wrong for that second goal. I don't know what he's doing because he like waits and waits and waits for the ball almost goes past him before he like taps it to the side. I don't know what he's doing. I'd love to find out what he's doing, but I think it's a little bit harsh to be giving him such slander when
I
he's not
agree.
done a lot wrong this season.
No, I agree. I don't think he deserves any slander. I think for United, he's always been a very consistent. He's been a pretty good goalkeeper for us, and I don't think we can really have any complaints about what we've got out of him since he became number one at the club. I think particularly that first 6 months we had him, he was outstanding, and I don't think he's ever quite recreated that level that he showed initially. But he's still been a very good goalkeeper, and we can't knock that. I don't think he deserves the slander. I think he has got mistakes in him. We know that. We've seen that. We have seen it more than just Chelsea. I'm sure. I can't think of it immediately off the top of my head, but I think there was another
Bournemouth,
one where he'd made a mistake. Bournemouth, of
Bournemouth.
course, where he had an
Yeah, that
absolute
was a shocker.
shocker.
And that's two
And
and that's two recent, relatively recent ones. So they
it
stick in
is.
your mind. So I do get that. But
But he's not the
he's
biggest issue. He's by
no.
far from the biggest issue. Like, he shouldn't have a shot to save in that one against Chelsea. Like, if Trusty stands up and Anel just, does a normal defensive tackle, like, he doesn't have a shot to save. There's no way to make the mistake because the defenders should have just handled that problem. And so it compounded other issues where previously people had failed. And so it's hard to lay it all at his door. I do, however, want us to go and buy another goalkeeper. I would very much like us to bring a new goalkeeper into the club. I would very much like that goalkeeper to be Victor Johansson from Rotherham. I think they'll let him go relatively cheap because they are getting relegated and they know that their goose is absolutely cooked. He's got a relegation release clause, so he'll probably be available in the summer for a very minimal amount. They'll want to try and profit off that to not have to sell him cheap. So I think he'll be available at a pretty good deal in January. So I'd be very tempted to try their arm with Victor Johansson to see if he will come in. If not, I think there are other options as well. I just don't think that at the minute Wes is quite ready to be a Premier League number one. I don't know if he ever will be, but that's not to say that he's the biggest issue in the team. He isn't, and I don't think he deserves any of the slander that he's getting. He's made mistakes, but he ain't the only one.
No, no. A lot of goalkeepers have made mistakes as well this season.
Yeah, that's
So
what happens.
yeah,
If you're
that's
a goalkeeper and you make a mistake, it looks so much worse than anybody else. Like,
and it's
they
usually a
cannot
goal.
get away with a mistake.
No.
It's a goal. As soon as they make a mistake, it's a goal. And
Yeah.
it's harsh, but it's the way it goes, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah. He wanted to be a goalkeeper. So
He
there we
did.
go.
He made that decision.
He made that decision, yes, he did.
He did.
Right, okay, Ollie. So it's quiz time. Quiz. Right, okay. So I need to let you in on a little secret. I have not done a quiz. However, I've just thought on
Oh.
the spot and I'm going to try something because I did this for a short with Hal. A short with Hal. Oh, wait, you're short as well, aren't you? Sorry, man.
Hey.
A, a short slash TikTok, shall we say, a portrait video. And Hal did okay, but I think that you can do it perfectly. Are we ready for this? It's not
Ooh, go on.
actually the same, but what it is, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give you a number, and you're going to tell me which Sheffield United player that you've been watching all season wears that number.
Oh, this is not my forte.
For
This
the
is
for
not.
the audio
This is
listeners,
not good for
Ole
me.
is shaking his head massively, and now
Yeah,
biting on
Ollie.
a stress ball.
Yeah, he is. If you've listened to the previous podcast that we've done and the previous quizzes, you will of course remember that squad numbers aren't my forte. They're not where I excel. So let's see how this goes.
Yeah, right. I'll give you some easy ones. I'll give you number one. This is not going to be just five. This is going to be maybe 8, 10, something like that. We'll rattle through them. So number one, Ole.
Adam Davis.
Good start. 1 for 1. Number 5, Ole. And I will be taking your first answer.
Austin Trusty.
Yeah. Who are we going to pick next? Number 14, Ollie.
14. Horrible
This player
number.
you have seen a lot this season.
Have I? Personally? Does he come around
Not
pub? I
personally.
see him every.
No.
I have a pint with him on a Friday night. Number 14 for Sheffield United.
Wait, you having a pint with him might kind of signal the reason why he's not been very good this season.
Why don't I know who wears number 14? Is it an L?
Well, that's your answer. No, it's not an L.
No. Who is it?
An L's 15 actually. It's Luke Thomas.
Oh, that's why I forgot it, because I'd forgotten that he existed. I've written him off. I've wiped him from my mind of Sheffield United players, and he doesn't count anymore. I've
No,
given
he
him
doesn't.
away. I've given him away, so that's why he doesn't count.
That's 2 from 3. I'm going to give you an easy one now. Number 19, Ollie.
Number 19's an easy one. That's always good, because that's set me up for failure.
That's one of the reasons why I said it, but you should get it.
Who wears number 19 for United?
You're not Googling, are you, Ollie?
No, I'm not, because
You
I
look like
wouldn't.
you're
Well,
looking just off camera and moving
well,
your
I'm looking just
hand.
off camera to try and draw something from my memory.
Okay.
Who wears number 19 for United and plays regularly?
Yeah.
Bogle?
It's not Bogle. It is Mr. Jack Robinson.
Jack Robinson, of course it's Jack Robinson. I didn't know. I said of course as if I was trying to make myself look better. I did not answer that
Do you know
question.
what, though? Do you know what, though? When I said Luke Thomas, who was 14, you went for NL, who was 15. I said Jack Robinson was 19. You went Jaden Bogle, who's 20. So every time you go for the one
Sorry,
after.
that's what's happening in my head. I'm going down the program and obviously just going one too many. We must skip a number at some point.
Who is number 8 for Sheffield United?
Harmer.
Go on, lad. Go on, lad. Next one. Who is... Oops. I've clicked on Adam
Oops.
Davis. Go off. Who is number 23 for Sheffield United? Bearing in mind, this is a clue. He's worn that shirt number for probably 4 years.
Number 23.
Number 23.
Ben Osborne.
Yes, good one, mate. I wouldn't have got that. I would not have got that. Right, next, who have we got? Right, number 11 for Sheffield United. Who is number 11, Ollie?
Benny?
Yes, go on, lad. You're better at this than you thought. Well
to be
done.
honest, the fact that I've just pulled Benny out my backside, I'm quite happy with that one.
I wasn't expecting you to get him at all. I thought you were going to say something like Archer or another striker or something, but fair play, mate. I'm going to throw a couple out there that are harder for you, but we're going to switch it. What's Andre Brooks's number?
37.
Oh, so close. 35.
Oh.
What is James McAtee's number? Trying to visualize, aren't you?
Yeah. 20.
Yes, you're right.
8.
Yes! Go on, lad. I don't know how many you've got up to now, but I'm going to give you one more, and then we're going to sail off into the sunset. So what we got? You got 1, 2. You got that wrong. So you got 2 wrong. 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 6 right up to now. That is very, very good. 6
Out
out
of
of
9, is
9.
it?
I think 6 out of 9. But I did switch it up and ask you the numbers because you didn't get Andre Brooks. And finally, I'm going to ask you, who wears number 25 for Sheffield United? We're still here, audio listeners.
Slimane.
Yes! You smashed that. You better not have the Sheffield United website up. If you have, I'm going to find you and probably not do a lot
What's
because
do you want me to tell you what I've got open on my screen? If I could screen share it, I would. I've got
can
French Ligue 1 table.
right.
I've got because I thought if you'd not got a quiz, I was going to Google one for you. And so I've got BBC Sport, Bolton 1, Sheffield United 0. And I've got the starting 11 from Sheffield United from Bolton, Chris Wilder's first game in charge. And I was going to ask you if you could name the starting 11.
Can we do that now?
Shall we do that now? Shall we see
I
if you
really
can
want to
do
do that.
the starting 11 for
Oh, this
Chris
is going to
Wilder's
be
first
hard.
ever game for Sheffield
You got
United?
2 quizzes for the price of one.
Two
Everyone who loves
quizzes for the
quizzes is
price
going
of
to be
one.
buzzing. Do you know what? It was the last one that we did. I was begging people for comments, and we got the comments finally. People said that they enjoyed the quiz.
Yeah. So this time we've done double quiz. We've doubled down.
We did. Right, okay. Here we go. So, goalkeeper was George Long. He started the
Correct.
season because Simon Moore came in after about 5 or 6 games, I think it was. We started with a back four. I know that. So I think it was Hussey, left back.
Yeah.
I think it was Jack O'Connell and what's his name? Wilson, wasn't it? James Wilson. Yeah.
4 for 4.
And then right back was John Brayford. I'm sure of
5
it.
for 5.
Yep. Oh my god. I think Mark Duffy played right mid in this
6
game
for
because I remember
6.
Mark Duffy being really good. This is where I struggle. John Fleck in the middle.
Number 7.
I'm struggling now. I really am. Strikers will have been Billy Sharp, I'm sure. And
8.
I don't think it was Leon. Could have been Leon. I don't know.
You've got
Let's
3
just
to
say.
get. You've
So
got
I've got a
3 left
central
to get.
midfielder, I've got a
Yeah.
left mid, and I've got a
Yeah.
striker.
Yeah.
I think Coots will play. I don't think Coots and Kieran Freeman were both on the transfer list, so they won't have been in the squad at all. I'm trying to think. No, Wolford weren't because he put him on the transfer list as soon as he came in. I'm trying to think of a left winger. Oh, Matty Doan.
Number 9. 9
Was
out
it
of
so?
11.
So where did Matty Doan play? Did he play left mid or did he play up front?
Where did he play? Left mid.
Is it Leon? Is it Leon?
Leon.
It was
10 out of
Leon.
11. Leon Clark.
So it wasn't Coots. Definitely wasn't Coots in the
So who
midfield.
played central midfield next to John Fleck?
It's someone really easy, isn't it? That I'm missing. Someone really, really easy. So it wouldn't have been Samir Carruthers. It wouldn't have been Jay O'Shea. I'm trying to think the midfield in that season. I can't think of the midfield. Fleck, Duffy, Coots. Can't think of this midfielder. Is it someone really simple as well? Oh, is it Chris Basham?
It's Chris Basham.
Yes! Oh, that was fun. That was really, really fun. Oh,
11
God.
out of 11.
That's a
And
good sign.
the
Go on.
subs were Duffy off for Stefan Skugel,
All
Matt
right, yeah.
Doan off for Che Adams.
Che was still there for a little bit because he did the kit, didn't he? He did the kit launch.
Yeah.
Him,
Aaron
Ben
Ramsdale was on
Whiteman.
the bench.
Was he? Oh, right.
Mm.
Okay. Oh, I quite enjoyed that. That were good.
Yeah.
That were good. You can do quiz more often, mate.
Double quiz.
Double quiz. Take that. Right, okay, so let's just finish it all on. We've got your crystal ball idea. However,
Ooh.
I think we save that until next week because we've got
Okay.
more content than I thought, especially with double quiz. So crystal
That's
ball, ready for that next time. Right, let's end on this week on Twitter. So
This
my
week
first
on
question
Twitter.
my first question to you: did you see the Greasy Chip Butty Twitter account with the Stoke City
A
striker scoring
fantastic hat trick. It was a fantastic hat trick scored for some random Stoke player. And genuinely, I've never felt more panicked than when I was scrolling through Twitter and I was like, I have no memory of this player. He scored a hat trick for United. Oh, for Stoke. Oh, oh. It was so bizarre. Like, clearly, I think lots of people pointed out that this is the AI algorithm failing, shall we say.
Well, it's either that, mate. It's either that, or it is somebody who, because
Runs two channels.
they've retweeted. Yeah, they've got loads of accounts,
Yeah.
and they've got loads of, because it's got an app, hasn't it? Greases your butter.
Yeah, it
Got
has.
loads of accounts for loads of different teams, and I think it pointed out that that person is probably not a Blade, because a Blade
Yeah.
would not make that mistake.
He's logged
Um,
in, thinking he's logged in as Stoke, but he's logged in as the United one, retweeted it out, not realised, and then been like, oh crap, what do I do now? Let's just leave it.
but the silly thing was, I think it was like the evening when he realised, they
Yeah.
must have had shed tons of tweets. They must have realised that that
Nuts.
has got way more retweets than usual. Quote,
Yeah.
when the quote retweets are more than the likes, you know you've done something wrong.
Yeah. I mean, you're being served, aren't you? Whenever you look at quotes and it's like 50 quotes, 10 likes. Oh dear. Oh, I've set something off right now. I've done something. Every time Hal does one of them videos mocking Wednesday, you think, oh, I know what them quotes are going to be like.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, before we move on to the rest of the Twitter stuff, what I did notice is Sheffield Wednesday, after coming back from 1-0 down to QPR, by the way, that is like the best thing that's happened to them since. Oh, actually, no, they came back from 4-0 down, didn't they? Let's move on from that. But what I was going to say was that Wednesday put out the blue and white wizards. The blue and white wizards on Twitter, on Facebook, and that just made me violently ill.
Hmm. Surely even their fans aren't having that. Like, that is such a specific Sheffield United. Oh, is that? You know what I mean? Like, it's such a specific. Like, anybody who's ever listened to Football 11 between the years of about 2000 and 2015 knows that it's very clearly a United thing. They don't want that. Surely.
It's it's more understandable for a United player or or account or whatever to say that we're massive or something like that, which is clearly a Wednesday thing in the fan
Yeah.
base. But
Obviously.
Wizards, you won't be
Yeah.
like Man United. Oh, you Red Wizards. Nobody
No,
says that.
it's you don't say it. It's not. They're
I don't
not.
know where it comes
No,
from.
they've
Even
just.
Wizards.
I don't know what they're doing. Well, I mean, they need to try and find some success, don't they? So they thought, I know, let's do more what United do, and that way we might actually achieve something at some point in our lives.
Maybe not this season, but
Yeah, but
yeah,
we're still a season in Premier League. We've got more points
yeah.
this season in Premier League than they've got this decade. So well, this century. It's fine.
Yep, yep, yep. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Um, Now let's move on to Illiman and Die. Alan Nixon has come out and said that it's possible that Marseille may let Illiman and Die out on loan. I firstly don't think this is even gonna. I don't think they're gonna even let him out on loan because he's not been great, but he's not been terrible. He's been playing a lot of games for him.
I think he's played 20, hasn't he? I think they've played in all competitions probably 23, 25, something like that. He's played in at least 20 of them. Now, his stats aren't great. It's 1 goal, 2 assists. I don't think they've been overly enamoured with him. And I don't think he's having the best time of it since going over there. But clearly, he's still a talented player. They've spent a lot of money bringing him to the club. And I have to admit, it feels unlikely that they would be letting him out on loan because of how much he's played. But stranger things have happened.
Yeah, and actually, I think if I were them, and maybe this is me just being biased and me having my blades head
Yeah,
on, if I were them, I would want him to try and regain his form with familiar
yeah,
surroundings.
I would.
And yes, we are bottom of the league, and maybe that will give him, if he comes in and does well, that'll give him a bigger sort of like he's done something, like he's really done something.
Mm.
I can imagine him going to Everton or who was the other team that they were talking about? Crystal Palace.
Everton and
Crystal
Palace,
Palace have got
yeah.
a lot of talented
Injuries.
players on the ball, so I can see him going there. I mean, sat on the bench quite a bit and coming on as a
Yeah. Wait,
impact
he's not.
sub.
Look, I like Iliman Ndiaye as much as the next guy. He ain't better than Eze or Elise, is he? So
No.
to get into their squad, either Eze or Elise's injuries are worse than they thought they were, and actually they're going to be out for a long, long time, or he's going to spend a lot of time sat on the bench. It seems unlikely that Palace would be the right place for him. And again, Everton, does he fit into Dyche ball? Like, if you're Marseille and you're looking at what Everton are doing, what's the space for Iliman Ndiaye in an Everton team? Where does he fit that mould? He's not big and strong. He's not going to be physically competitive. He's more of a tactical player on the ball. I don't think he quite suits what they want because he's not a winger. So they're going to want their attacking players to either be wingers or to be big lads who are going to win the headers and really compete. And he doesn't fit either of those molds. And I think that's the issue that he's had at Marseille, is that they're playing him as a winger. And that's just not getting the most out of him. He's a central player. I think he does better with more of the ball in tight spaces rather than being asked to get down the wing and create with balls into the box or anything like that. So I just think the two teams mentioned, Palace and Everton, just do not suit the type of player that Iliman Ndiaye is, because there's no space at Palace and there's no way that he fits the system at Everton. I just don't see that one coming off. So again, maybe it's not working at Marseille. He doesn't fit to their tactical structure. It's not getting the best out of him. Wouldn't get in the team at Palace. Doesn't fit at Everton. There's limited other options, I would say, in the market for Iliman Ndiaye that would love him and cherish him and let him play 90 minutes every week and tell him that he's a star boy.
There's been a lot of Blaze fans as well saying that they wouldn't want him back, and I think that's silly straight away. However, there is something in it because he will be going to AFCON, you would think. Like, yeah, he's not been great this season for Marseille. Like you say, the numbers aren't there, but he still will be going. Unless he picks up an injury, he still will be going to AFCON with Senegal. So we will be missing him for some games if the crazy thing happened and we did manage to get him out on loan. So there is something in that. I get that. But like, I replied to somebody on Twitter and just said, there is nobody better for the Sheffield United team right now that's available on loan than Iliman Ndiaye, because the only players that you expect to go out on loan are the players that aren't getting games of football. And would you really want someone that's not getting much of a crack of the whip?
Someone match fit and ready to play, and that is exactly what Iliman Ndiaye would be.
And
I think
the
there
club.
is risks, and really loves and understands the club. He's loved and understood by the fans. I mean, obviously the summer will have affected the way that some fans feel about him, but I think he would still be welcomed back very, very positively. I think there are risks, and obviously you've highlighted one of them. AFCON, could we afford to spend the money it might cost us to bring Iliman Ndiaye in, to then have him missing for 6 weeks or however long it is? That at the moment for United, it depends how those fixtures falls, because if he misses 6 games and they're Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, fine. If he misses 6 games and it's Burnley, Luton, Bournemouth, Everton, Wolves and West Ham, then suddenly you go, actually, it's not worth bringing him in for the other 15 games we'll have left. So it depends on what he'd be missing for the AFCON. I think it depends on how Wilder would want to use him, because if looking at our team and our structure right now, where does he fit in that 11? I think last season, obviously, he was playing a lot sort of up there with McBurney. Is he going to play instead of Cameron Archer? I don't think so, because obviously they're very different kind of players. They would be serving a different purpose, but I don't think we would be playing without Cameron Archer on the pitch, given the substantial investment in him, but also given the talents that he brings in terms of his goal scoring, his shooting, the way that he can create something in a similar way to Iliman, but it's a similar skill of creating something from nothing, a completely different skill in terms of how they do it, because Illiman's more likely to bring other players into play, hold the ball up, beat a man, whereas Cameron Archer's going to shoot from 30 yards and it might go in the top corner. And so it's difficult to judge how he'd fit in there. So I don't think he'd play instead of Archer. I think we've got to have a physical presence for the way that we're trying to get forward. So it's got to be McBurney or Rasula. So the front two's fairly locked. Then you look at the midfield. He's not going to play the Vinny Souza role. He's not going to play the Harmer role. So then suddenly you are looking at, actually, it'd be McAtee or Ndiaye. They're probably the two interchangeable options. Now, I would say that Ndiaye is better suited to Sheffield United. I would say that Ndiaye is probably the better player right now. I think he could have a bigger immediate impact on Sheffield United on the pitch, but we can't have James McAtee with the money invested and with the fact that he's a Premier League domestic loan sat on the bench. So in terms of how he fits into the United structure is a very different question. There will undoubtedly be a place. For a player of his quality, we will make it work. Like, I would kill to have Illiman and Dye at United, but if we've got limited funds, I know there's been some suggestions. I think it might have been Nixon or somebody else that said United will be able to spend a bit of money. There's whisperings that United will be one of the more active teams in January, and that would be fantastic. And if the money's available, then yes, let's have a look at Illiman Dye. Let's look at what these options are, because what United need is players who immediately improve the starting 11. We don't need squad players. We don't need bodies. We need improvements to the positions that we've currently got on the pitch. And Illiman and Dye is an improvement wherever we find a way to get him in the team. But I wonder if we'll be prioritising other areas rather than throwing a lot of money at that move. So I'd love it. I'd celebrate it. But I'm not sure how likely it is that Wilder will be able to focus on him as being the signing that makes a difference in terms of what we've got in the squad at the minute. Where do you think he'd fit, Nick?
Well, there's one player that you've not mentioned in Andre Brooks, and I think we could, instead of using Andre Brooks, we could use McAtee off the right, we could use Illiman off the left, and we could have them coming into the middle. And maybe, I think we saw against Chelsea that maybe sometimes McBurney and Archer don't really link up as well together. Maybe that's because they've not played too many games together, with McBurney getting injured a lot and
Yeah,
getting sent off twice. I think we need to. I'm not too bothered about the defense. The defense has leaked in so many goals, but it's looking a bit more steady these days. I think we just need more goals. We need to score more goals. We need to score more goals than the other team, which is obviously a silly thing to say, but that's what you need in this Premier League. Like, we're not going to be a team. We can't, for 90 minutes, 95 minutes, 100 minutes, week in, week out, keep a clean sheet. We've kept a clean sheet once this season. So I can't see us doing what we did the first season under Wilder in the Premier League and keeping loads of clean sheets and scoring one goal and winning 1-0. So we need options. We need a lot more options. And I'll be honest, mate, I think that the sort of person that Iliman Ndiaye is, if he got offered the chance to come to Bramall Lane or to go to Goodison or to go to Sellers Park, I think he's coming to Bramall Lane. I think that's just him. So, and I think he'll think that he's got a lot to prove as well, because he'll obviously want to go back to Marseille, get in their team, get to the Champions League, get win tournaments, win cups, win leagues, and obviously I think he'll want to give something back to us, because I think deep down he'll feel that he kind of left us in the lurch.
in the lurch. And I do think there's something in that. And you're exactly right, actually. We need to find a way to score goals. And so if there's a player available who will help us do that, then we just find a way to fit him in, don't we? We don't faff about with what our system is or what other players we've got. You say he's got to play and he's going to find a way to create chances. There is something in the idea that actually, if you've got McAtee, Archer, and Harmer on the pitch, that's not a bad attacking four. If you want to have them driving forward, them trying to control the ball, maybe that gives us a starting point that actually we don't need as much of a physical presence. Maybe we can actually try and control the ball a little bit and actually control the play, because those four are, well, those four have proved themselves too good for the championship. Like we saw last season, that those four were so much too good for the championship that they've got to be worth a shot. If there's an opportunity, we could get those four on the pitch. I think, yeah, I mean, if he's available, we've got to do it. We've got to go for it, because we'd be
Good
silly
try.
not to. But yeah, we try for it. I personally think that the more likely scenario is that Wilder goes in for somebody like Kiefer Moore, and I know that's not exciting. It's not the move that fans are going to want, because they're not comparable as players. But I think that's probably the more realistic target. But if Illiman and Dye's available, just get him. Just get him in. Just bring him. Just bring him home. Just give him to me personally, and I'll look after him.
Well, actually, you're talking about Kiefer Moore. There's another player that we went in for, didn't get, and now he's not playing too much, and didn't start his career at Ajax very well. It's Akpom. The only thing with that is Chris Wilder had Chuba Akpom at Middlesbrough. I
And
don't know
bombed him
if
off.
Cameron Archer was at Middlesbrough. I don't think he was
Not
with
at the
Chris
same
Wilder.
time. Not
No,
with
but
Wilder. So he
Chuba
was
Akpom
signed with Carrick.
was. And I wonder whether they have a good relationship or not, because that could end it if they don't have a good relationship.
He was on the transfer list when Wilder left. He'd absolutely bombed him out, and they were looking for summer moves. And I think Wilder had slagged him off quite a lot in the press. So maybe that one's less of a
Listen to that.
goer. So I don't think their relationship was the best. But again, does that get overridden by the fact that he would be able to partner with Archer again? And we saw how effective that front two was. Like, they absolutely dominated for Middlesbrough last season. They were fantastic together. And so maybe if the opportunity is there to rekindle that partnership, it's something United would be willing to look at, could go into, because we obviously need strikers, is what we know we need. Like you've said, the defense has got its problems. And we definitely probably need to look at structure and training, but I don't think we need to look at players. I don't know what players come in and sort of immediately improve that position that would be available for us. So it's goals. And so if Akpom, if Ndai, any of them type of player is available, I'd like to hope that we were in and we're having that conversation, because they could be real difference makers, like an actual difference maker.
So, Ali, I think us talking about eliminating and maybe living in Cloud Cuckoo Land is probably a good way to end this video after a defeat against Chelsea. So, thank you very much for joining me today, mate.
Anytime. Yeah, always love it to be here. Always enjoy filming a podcast because I get to ramble, talk about Warhammer, and talk about United. And what more could I ask for?
You couldn't ask for anything other than having to go to work tomorrow because we always record it on a Sunday.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You've got to go Wakefield.
Oh.
I've got to go to Oldham. There's no joy in that for anyone. There's no joy in that for anyone.
Even the people that we're going to see, they're not going to
No.
enjoy
Oh, they're
that.
going to be miserable. I'm making them do so much work for me before Christmas. I honestly, they have got to do this meeting last week before Christmas. If I were them, I would hate me.
There we go. Well, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it. Also, thank you very much for listening. If you're listening on the audio podcast too, why not give us a lovely old rating? Or if you're watching it on YouTube, give the big old like and comment to say how much you enjoyed the quiz. Thanks a lot for watching. See you next